anyone can think in English. And I'm going to show you how in this video by giving you 7 tips, 7 strategies, or 7 techniques that literally anyone can use to think in English. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you live in a speaking country or in a speaking country, you can use these techniques to think in English. To someone who's living in a speaking country where people around you or people around them are speaking in English, they may use English several hours a day, and also it may become part of their inner speech. In other words, you may start thinking in English and stop trying to translate things from your native language into English. But if you don't live in a speaking country where people around you don't speak English that often or never speak in English, it might be quite challenging thinking in English. You don't really get a chance to practice what you've learned, maybe because you're self-taught. And when you speak, your speech might still be slower, maybe because you are still trying to translate words from your native language into English, which in most cases sounds unnatural. But why do you even need to think in English? This is because thinking in English brings you a huge step closer to fluency. It's not very difficult, but it takes effort and consistency in practice. These are some of the tips that I've been using to help me think and speak in English in a non-speaking country fluently. So the first tip to thinking in English is start thinking in single words. 1,000 miles, as you know, it starts with a single step. And your first single step is thinking in single words. Okay, just stop, look around you. What do you see? Or let me make it simpler. What do you see in this video? I'm sure you can see books behind me. You can see my white t-shirt. So look around you. What do you see? In your head, name every object you see around you in English. And that is how you start thinking in English. Single words. So every single day you're in your house or when you go outside, ensure that you try to name every single thing you see around you in English. You see grass, you see a tree, you see a bus, you see a bicycle. Name it in your head in English. So as you continue with this, when you do it daily, it becomes more of a habit and things will start popping into your head in English. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, name every single thing around you in English. Name it. Once you've become familiar with naming most objects around you, start adding verbs to them. A verb is a doing word. For instance, you see a train in a subway. A train is moving. You see your cat. What is your cat doing? Sleeping. Or you see your dog. Your dog is barking or playing. Try adding verbs into the single words that you started naming around you. This exercise is very helpful when it comes to thinking in English. You can also make it easier by naming the stuff around you in English using a notepad. So when you go to the freezer, just name it. This is a freezer. This is a socket. This is a sink. This is a spoon. This is a drawer. When you label stuff around your house, the words will start sticking in your head. Let's get the next step. Now, the next tip is describe unknown words. For instance, if you are talking about something that you don't really know the name or you can't think of the name, for instance, let's say you're talking about a theater, a movie theater, and you don't really know what it's called. You can describe it, a place where we go to see movies, or the place where we went yesterday to see movies. Or let's say you're talking about an oven, you can say this thing we use to bake cakes and they're found in bakery, or we can also use them at home. You can also use phrases such as similar to this or opposite to this. This exercise really helps you as a learner or even the person you're talking to understand what you're talking about, even if you don't know the name of what you are saying. So if you can't name it, just describe it. The next step that you can use to think in English is thinking in simple sentences. So let's say you're having dinner at your place and the dinner was divine. It was delicious. You're tasting it and you're like, this is yummy. That is a simple sentence. Then you ask, who cooks this meal? Simple sentence. You can also use this when describing the weather. It is raining today. That is a simple sentence. It is windy today. It is hot today. Simple sentence. Once this becomes easy to you, you can move to more complex sentences. And while trying to form these simple sentences in your head, don't even worry if the sentence is absolutely correct. Just train your mind to start thinking in simple sentences. The next tip to help you think in English is describing your day. So you don't have to start from anywhere else but yourself. The most common and easy way to start thinking in English is to start by describing your day. Very simple. You already know what happened. You don't need to do any thinking. You just need to say what you did in English. And I've got just the easy way to help you describe your day. You're gonna use the 5 W's. What? When did you do it? Where did you do it? Why did you do it? And who did you do it with? By following this formula, it becomes easier for you to start training your mind to think in English. For instance, if I were to use this formula to describe my day, I would say, what did I do today? I recorded an English video. When did I do it? I did it at around 10 a.m. And where did I do it? I did it in the house or in my room. Why did I do it? Because I wanted to share information that I had learned to other learners. Who did I do it with? I just did it by myself. So start describing your day by using that formula to make it easier and simpler for you to train your brain to start thinking in English. The next strategy to help you think in English is to think in conversation. This is where you imagine you are having a conversation with someone else, and then you kind of ask yourself the questions and answer them at the same time. I did this a lot when I was learning English. It's almost kind of like self-talk. You can imagine yourself in a situation or imagine yourself talking to your friend about a movie night you went to or a class you had that day, and imagine what questions your friends or your friend would ask you and answer them. For instance, if I went to a movie with my friend, I can imagine myself having a conversation with my friend, like her asking me, so what did you think about the movie? The movie was very fun and I really enjoyed how the movie ended. So who was your favorite character? So my favorite character was the one who had these powers to saying, what is your best part about the movie? My best part about the movie was when blah 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 blah. So that is a conversation you can have with yourself by pretending or imagining that you're having it with a friend. I still use this technique today. The 6th step to help you think in English is by taking notes. Of course, this is gonna help you remember all of these tips and exercises that I've mentioned. Obviously, there will be some phrases that you still don't know, and that is where your notebook and your pen comes in. At some point, you need to take notes and check meanings of some words in your dictionary. And by taking notes, it can help you have the words in your fingertips so that when you forget a word, you don't really have to think that much. You just have to go back and refer to it. The more you keep referring to it, the more it sticks to your mind and the more you start thinking in English. And finally, the last tip is to practice. I think I should just be adding this in every of my English video because English is a practical language. You cannot learn it unless you are speaking it. You don't really even have to take the whole day thinking or practicing in English. You just have to take a couple of hours or just a few minutes thinking and speaking in English, one step at a time. Just improve 1% every single day. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope this video was helpful. Don't forget to like the video, share the video to anyone on your seats. And if you are an English learner who is just starting on their English learning journey, I highly recommend that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming video. And with that being said, let's catch up in my next video. Bye. Mwah.